Okay, it should be back on now. I don't know why it turned off. Let me use.
Same link and everything, right?
Should be the same link. Sorry for the delay here.
I think we're back.
It shows me we're back.
Still is running a minute and 24-second thing. Is there a new link?
For pity's sake. It's all slowing my computer down really badly right now. Oh, come on. No, 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 no. Sorry, bear with me. Holy crap. Guys, bear with me. My computer is really screwing up right now.
It's okay.
Honestly, it looks like it's the same link. Oh, for pity's sake.
Still just that first clip
It's still not showing it streaming.
for a minute and 24 seconds. 13 minutes ago. Still just that first clip
It's still not showing it streaming.
for a minute and 24 seconds. 13 minutes ago.
All right, I sent you another.
It's another link, right?
I sent you another link. And put your YouTube on silent, please. Or...
I have it.
Sent you another link. And put your YouTube on silent, please. Or... Sent you another link. Put your YouTube on silent, please.
Sent it to my village address.
Yes. Okay, it should still be streaming, right, Amy?
You said you sent me a new link?
Yeah, I just responded to the same email I sent you the previous link on with the new link.
Okay. I think I'm getting the same link. It hasn't come through.
Hey, Stefan,
Yeah.
maybe you could send her the link as a message here within this Hangout. There's a messaging up in the upper right-hand side there. You can just send it as a text message to her.
Okay.
I saw that. That came through to me. I don't know. Amy, did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. Everybody will be able to see it, yeah.
I saw that.
Yes, we are live. I'm gonna mute this, I'm gonna grab this link and change what I did on Facebook and stuff, but you guys can.
Okay.
I just have to repost it.
I'll give you one more minute and we'll wait for you here a minute.
Okay.
And who just dialed in?
Hello?
Yeah, who dialed in?
Hello? Joe Myers just showed up.
Thank you, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, guys.
All right. Are we reposted?
It's gonna take, I'm streaming this and. Right, so it's on Facebook.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, got it. Let's we'll go ahead and start with the agenda here. Department heads. Tal, you want to start? Is Tal still with us?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, barely. Not really. Tell you what, while you sort that out, Anthony, I don't think is on, right? So I met with Anthony today. I'll go through a couple of things. So he and I met about the one-way street down the end of 2nd Street between North Washington and Water Street. We did agree on some signage that we're putting up to improve make it more obvious that it's one way both down as you come off Water Street as well as you come off the alleyway. We found some places to put signs. The other conversation was, why not go back to two-way? And I don't have a good answer to that yet. I want to get into the minutes from about 2 years ago. Apparently the concern, which I think is a valid concern as we walked around up there, is that we can't take the bank's parking away from them. And if cars are parked almost all the way to the corner in front of the bank, that you have to pull out pretty far in order to make that turn onto Washington. So you're pulling out in front of the traffic coming from your left to right in order to make a left-hand turn there. That was the concern. I'm not sure it outweighs the current concern about it being a one-way, but I want to go back in, look at the conversations that were had about that in the past before we do that. So in the meantime, it has been better signed, if that's the right way to say it, but there's better signage down there at the base by Water Street and by the alleyway. In addition, there is a tree that we looked at on an alleyway. You can actually see it from the village building. It's on an alleyway. It's behind, for those of you who know Paula and Teo on Church Street. It's behind their place on that alleyway, just past the parking lot for the municipal building. And sort of about a third to a half a way up it, it's very badly rotted out. The woodpeckers are tearing it apart, and it's a risk of falling over onto the barn across the alleyway. It's the base of the tree is arguable whether it's village or on their property. It feels like it's kind of half and half at where the trunk is. However, the bulk of the tree, once it comes off of the trunk, is over the alleyway, over that barn. So we agreed to remove it, but we're not going to be doing the stump grinding for it, but we will remove the tree because it's a hazard there. That was the bulk of our conversations. I did go through Anthony's budget with him, and we'll talk more about budget as we go. He's got a number of things in his budget. For example, a new pickup truck next year, a salt shed to be added to the new DPW building. There were a couple other things in there as well. There is paving of all or some of Union Street. So we need to look at how do we spread some of those funds out over a couple of years, which I'll take a stab at in the budget as I go through it. That's all I've got from the DPW director. Rob, anything else that I didn't cover?
Stefan, can you hear me while Rob is getting ready?
I can hear you, yeah.
Just one thought about the bank. The issue is that on I guess it would be the northeast corner of 2nd Street in Washington, I think you're saying that cars are in front of the bank are parking so close to the corner there that if you're coming west on 2nd Street from Water, that when you get there and you want to turn right onto North Washington, that the line of sight is poor.
Right.
So perhaps one thing, if that's the only thing, perhaps we could put some like yellow breakaway poles, I don't know, 10 or 10 feet north of that intersection, like 3 of them extending 6 or 8 feet from the curb to kind of make it impossible to park.
Well, the problem isn't that people are parking illegally. The problem is that the bank needs parking, and that's all they've got.
Well, but I'm just saying you would take the first 6 or 7 feet of that parking away from them by putting in some like yellow pillars that are, what are they, like they're 3 feet tall and
Well, so we asked about that on the other side of the road, and the state wouldn't let me do it.
The state won't let you do that.
We could post it as no parking there, although I'd have to go to the state for that. Another option is a 4-way stop, which I'd have to go to the state for as well. So I've got to call the state DOT and ask a couple of questions about what we can do there. Rob, are you on? Well, this is going poorly today.
Is this better for me?
That's much better for you, yes.
Okay, good. I switched over to my phone.
Okay.
Just at least for the audio. So you want me to go ahead?
I will say that it looks as if Rob Scott may have fallen off. I don't know if he called in by phone, but he does not appear in the list of attendees anymore.
All right, we'll continue. We've got a quorum. We'll see if he manages to join back on. Tal, you want to go?
Sure. So starting back with the DPW building, tomorrow we'll have a phone conference. We just got to pick a time, Stefan and I, to speak with our bond counsel, Christine Shaw. So we'll get that underway tomorrow. And the appraisal is expected at any time. We sent a bunch of information over to the appraiser, and they're working on it. So for our current building, we should have that information pretty soon.
Good.
Next is, in accordance with our request at the last meeting, I sent both a letter to the town for requesting that they pay the rent that's required, and also a copy of that memorandum of agreement, so that we know our proper spot in the future with respect to the rentals and everything else. And I've got no response from either one of those letters. I sent them both postal and also email.
That's to Ginger or Rob Butler?
The Ginger, yeah. And she's working it from home. I have corresponded with her on a couple of real estate matters that I've got with her, so I know she's got them. So I'll push her on that. I just didn't want to be too adamant about it, I guess.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just I'm just looking to honor the agreement that we had, right? I mean, it's not personal, and I know they're upset about it, but it's not personal. We had an agreement. We're just looking to honor that agreement.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. At the last meeting also, I think we talked about possibly doing resolutions to the governor with respect to the cannabis and also with chips. Unfortunately, the budget got passed before our meeting tonight. The good thing is for the chips, that is remaining and it's still there and it will be continue to be funded. The bad thing, I guess, is for the cannabis, it looks like, and I'm still analyzing it because it's hundreds of pages long, but cannabis use has been legalized in New York, and the process by which all these facilities can now be cited are essentially going to be done by an agency at the state. We will get the opportunity to comment and during the application process at the state, but that's going to be, as far as I can tell right now, the bulk of our involvement in it. As I said, it's several hundred pages long, so I haven't gotten through all of it yet.
Okay.
And I think next meeting, we are having our public hearings on the short-term rental and the tax cap override.
And the budget.
So and the budget. So we've got those all set and ready to roll.
Okay.
That's all I have.
I just need a copy of the tax cap law that I can post on the website for people to review.
You want me forward? Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So it's the tax cap law, the budget, the short-term rental. Did we decide we're going to postpone the short-term rental?
You want to postpone it?
No, I thought we had said we were going to do it. I don't remember if we said we were going to.
We said we would do it on the 22nd.
Okay, so it's budget, it's tax cap override, it's short-term rental, and it's moratorium. All public hearing next week, next meeting.
We were going to postpone the moratorium, is what we said we would postpone.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
I haven't seen a copy of the short-term rental law or the tax cap law or the budget. Hopefully we'll get a chance to look at those well before, to have some time to look at them.
The short-term rental is up on the website for review, but I can send you a copy. I have a digital copy I can send you. The tax cap I don't have.
The budget MJ sent out to everybody, right, MJ?
Yeah, it was emailed to everybody 2
Yeah,
weeks ago.
right after the last meeting.
Well, that was, yeah, but that was a placeholder budget. It had lots of things empty in it. It had numbers that were wrong in it. We don't have a working budget at this point.
I can send you another one then. I do have one.
I have one from.
I did change those figures. I changed them and sent it and resent it to everybody.
Yeah, recently, right?
Yeah, I changed the police that was questioned. I checked, there was another question. I fixed that. There were several things that were fixed, and then I resent it. And I think Amy's got a copy because you were going to post it on the website, I thought.
Yeah.
So I think that we've got it. I can resend it, no problem.
I looked at the one I have. It looks pretty complete. I mean, the only place that was blank was the assessment for the,
And the other things that are blank are things that need to be negotiated,
yeah.
With the town, and the DPW's contract is up. Those types of things. Yeah, there are holes, but those need to be worked out, between the department heads, and now with the, pause in New York State, it's kind of put a damper on a lot of that. Plus, we don't have an assessor to get some of the figures that we need. So I have to contact the county, which is kind of hard right now because they're closed down. So it's all email, phone calls, trying to get people. But, you got to go forward with it regardless. And that's our tentative budget at this point.
All I have was an email on Friday, March 27th at 1:22 that says attached are just some notes about the budget you were sent. And it lists these things: errors found, actual amounts, items that need clarification.
I thought the budget was in the same email, Josh, if you an attachment in a previous link in that email.
Yeah,
At any rate, we'll make sure you've got it.
There's a link in that email on Friday at 1:22 to the budget.
I don't know. I thought it was in the same email when I remember.
No, I didn't.
All right, we'll make sure you get it.
I have it, I'm not finding where I actually got it. I see the March 27th, but
And
I'll
I,
resend it.
I also have a tentative budget that was sent out on the 25th of March. That was in advance of our meeting that day. That was the one that had a lot of holes in it. And then there were the notes 2 days later, but I don't have
Okay.
a fixed
MJ,
budget.
MJ will send the current state of the budget out after this meeting.
okay.
All right. Tal, anything else?
Just hit send, so you'll all have both of those laws in your inbox in a few seconds.
Thank you.
Oh,
But that's it.
All right. We covered DPW. Rob, are you on?
He was on. I don't know if I saw him come back on. I see him on now. But Rob, you're on mute. If you can hear us, it looks as if you're on mute.
Stefan, you mind if I tap out? I've got to head over to another meeting.
Okay.
Good night, all.
Good night, Cal.
Good night.
Oh,
Rob Scott, you're still on mute. If you can hear us, I think the way to unmute yourself is if you bring your cursor down to the bottom of your screen, you may see a little microphone with an X through it, and you just click on that, and that should put you back on to audio.
all right. Let's keep moving. Dave Disbro is not on, correct? Amy, did you have anything for the fire department? We do have their.
no, they sent me.
Yeah, I had it
They sent
open.
the report in, everything looks fine to me. I got an email from Wayne who said that, I forget the name of the company now, first. It's called, first response team service will be down on Friday to completely disinfect the firehouse. And
I
then
can't-
apparatus for free.
This report from the fire chief didn't get that either. The system isn't working very well here. I can't really be a very good village trustee if I'm not getting reports from the department heads, if I'm not getting budgets.
I think we're doing the best we can.
Well, I think we are due.
I understand that, but we're all trying to work for something that we're not used to.
I agree with that too.
Let me share it. Hold on.
I wanted to ask, it's a shame that the department heads can't participate in this meeting. I wanted to ask the fire chief if we have any kind of protocol for protecting our workers, our volunteers, what the infection control protocol is for COVID, to protect them against people who may have COVID and to protect the public against any of them who may have COVID because of exposures they may have had.
Yeah, I got an email earlier. I will look into it with them, but they're both, Dave's working tonight and Wayne was also working tonight.
Can you guys see his? Can you guys see his submission on the screen right now, or no?
I just see your
Oh,
picture.
I know how to do it. Hold on. Sorry, bear with me.
I just emailed everybody the fire report.
I have that from you now, Amy. Thank you.
Okay, so he talks about turnout gear washer, soap dispenser not working. New NFPA requirement is that gear needs to be sanitized when washed to help for COVID-19 outbreak per the protocol. Canceled everything at the firehouse until COVID-19 settles. Red Cross had asked to use the firehouse for a blood drive. They're looking for thoughts on this. They will follow all protocols for blood drive. So I think that is something we should allow. Any other thoughts on that?
I think that's fine. This reference to protocol for in terms of the Red Cross, I would only hope that they are going to do what needs to be done to prevent any COVID as spreading as well as they can. I am also, so I would support that if you want to do that as an item. I do have a question about something else in the report whenever you're ready to take questions.
Okay, I have nothing else. Amy, you can let him know that we're okay with the blood drive in the firehouse.
Okay.
My other question is under this equipment status / issues, where he says this will also help with the COVID-19 outbreak per our protocol. Is that a dealing with COVID protocol that the fire department has? Does anybody know?
I don't.
I don't know. I mean, they do have some direction from the county, but I haven't had a chance to speak with Dave in person nor Wayne this week. So I can check in with them on that.
Thank you, Amy.
Okay. Gail, do you have anything for the police department?
I just have his report. I think you emailed it to everybody.
That I looked for, I didn't see.
That one I did get.
Yeah. He emailed it. He just
I
said,
emailed that last night.
Oh, hey, Roger. How are you?
How are you?
Good. Let me find it then. I'm sure I've got it. Depends on which email address it went to here.
I know Rob and Josh got it because they replied, and I think maybe Amy did too.
I got it.
Okay, go ahead and start, Roger, and I'll find it here if I can.
All right. I think you all know that we've been experiencing a lot of larcenies in the village. We have, I don't want to expose too much of what we've done and what our practices are, but if you see that report, you can see that we have taken some measures to alleviate that. We are working with Sheriff's Department to resolve that situation, and we're pretty confident we will bring it to a close. The new vehicle is here. It's out back behind the building. If you would like to see it, we have it. We've had a decal. And we're waiting to put the radio and the other equipment in it, but we seem to be a little delayed due to everything going on.
Okay, so you have lights on it and stuff yet?
I lost you.
Hey, Josh, do me a favor. Will you mute? We seem to be getting reverb off of yours, it looks like. Is that better? Yes. I said, did you get any lights on it and stuff yet, Roger?
No, that's what we're being delayed on.
Okay.
Getting that completed. The suppliers for that have not been responding that quick to us, so we're a little delayed there.
Yeah, understood. Okay. But you do have the stickers on. I saw the pictures. I haven't seen the car yet with the stickers. Good.
Decals are on.
Turned out good. Looks very nice.
So you mentioned the larcenies. Are you referring to the one arrest that's there?
No,
Okay.
that problem is an April problem.
Okay.
That would show up in next month's report, but we're still working on it. We don't have it totally closed.
Understood.
And also, we do need to continue to emphasize to the public, they need to keep valuables out of their cars, and they need to keep their vehicles locked.
Okay.
And also, we've had some larcenies of packages from doors. They were investigating one today. I'm not sure what the outcome of that one was. I just know that it was reported.
Okay. So just, for the rest of the board, we'd like during this pandemic to be largely staffed during the day so that we can A, help people, and B, do some policing of things like social distancing, areas that are closed. We've had to break up some things that people claim weren't parties, but some gatherings that we've broken up. Those are the types of things that we should be doing. We are now also having to spend time on nights, which I would prefer to not have to do, in order to chase down the larcenies that are going on. So hopefully we get that resolved soon, but not presenting targets and, people locking car doors and not leaving valuables in cars help with that a little bit. But, that it just kind of delays the problem, so we need to get it resolved. That's all I see here. So, you do have protective equipment, right? You have PPE and stuff.
It has been coming in slow. I did see them delivering some today. I'm not sure exactly what was in that delivery, but we got hand sanitizer first, then we got a few masks, and then last week we got another delivery of masks. So that's a little more ample, but we have enough for the guys to make it through.
Okay.
We don't wear it on everything, but they know what their procedure should be. Their training will kick in. They know what to protect themselves from. And we can't just say, well, you're going to wear it all this time. We can't have something that's going to prevent them or interfere with them being able to effectively do their job.
Okay. Yeah, I spoke to Sheriff Kuzminski a little bit today to see if they had a written policy, which they don't. He sent me an email. I'll forward it to you. But basically, he's saying that, it's at the discretion of the officer based on the situation that they're going into, that any response dealing with COVID-19 does require use of masks and gloves. What I was thinking, Roger, is from a standpoint of when we're breaking up a gathering, we should be setting the example, even though it's probably, so long as we're social distancing, we're safe. But if we're breaking up some kind of a gathering or enforcing COVID rules, there's a little bit of an appearance to it. But I also don't want to waste the equipment if we're shy on it. So
and that's what they've been doing. They've been using it when they feel it's needed, and we remind them 2-3 times a week to make sure they're protecting themselves and not make any unnecessary contacts.
Okay. Yeah, that was the other thing he said was any contacts that can be done over the phone, they're doing over the phone.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else? Any other items? We did get a request, and Roger, we got a request from the senior center. Go ahead.
Before you make a final decision on what we're going to do with Lower 2nd Street, I'd like to, I know we talked about it before, but before we finalize something, I'd like to see the preliminary finalization.
Absolutely. I just want to see what's possible, and I want to understand why we made the decision to go to a one-way. And I can see there is some validity to it there in that intersection. So we'll talk more about it.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure we got some signs up.
Yep, I agree.
Okay.
I got to check off. Does anybody else have anything?
Just, go ahead, Amy.
I was just gonna talk to them about the email, but I can do that later at that, at the end of the meeting.
About the what, Amy?
Okay. Yep. Amy's got a good hold on what the email issues are, and I
Oh,
think
yeah.
she can cover that.
Got it.
For the P, yeah, we can talk about it later.
Okay.
I have just a couple of quick questions, Chief. Those masks that the department got, are they N95 masks?
I
Or some
believe
other
they're
product?
Yep.
Okay, and when you say that the officers are instructed to use their best judgment, what source of information do they have to make the decisions as to what constitutes, good judgment in that situation? Has there been any online training or materials that are given to them about protecting?
They are trained in the police academy. They're trained in on-the-job training. There's several different aspects of that they have to rely upon.
What was the has there been any recent infection control training, let's say in the last year, either unrelated to COVID or related to COVID, that the officers have had?
Informal with their supervisor.
And where would the supervisor get that information from?
On a training instructor in any topic that there is in the training for police within the state. We have other instructors here as well.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for Chief?
All right, have a good night.
Thank you, Roger. Take care.
Good night, Roger.
Thanks.
Good night, thank you.
Mike Reganey, you still on? Shit, he wasn't. Shoot, he was on. Sorry. They're dropping like flies here. Mike Reganey, are you still on? Discussions with Mike here recently. We're still trying to resolve the Stewart House issue with the back stairs. I think that's gotten slowed down dramatically here lately due to the COVID issue. He heard from the folks on Warren Street. We have that burned out building on Warren Street where we had asked them to close up the windows and doors that were open. Apparently they've gone through, and I've got a phone number that I'll reach out to him on as well. But right now, what Mike is saying is they've contacted him, and based on the work that they've done with their designer and builder, they've decided that they're not going to be able to reclaim the house, and so they're going to have it torn down and start over. The house was condemned a long time ago. There was a plan that Tal would remember from years ago where they had already gotten as far as, similar to what we did with the one on South Washington Street. They had gotten up to the state about getting permission to tear that house down when these folks bought it, hoping to be able to reclaim it. But they've said it's just not going to be financially feasible to reclaim the house. So they're going to tear it down. They will go back to the planning board with whatever they decide they want to do.
Washington Street?
No, this is the one on Warren Street, North Warren. Sorry, the other one was on North Washington that I was referring to, where we had gone up to the county to get permission to tear it down when somebody bought it.
North Franklin, I think.
You're right, Franklin. Whew. See, I'm not getting out enough. I'm forgetting where the streets are.
So the North Franklin one is still in.
They're still planning on tearing that one down.
But is that still going to be used by the fire department as a training
I
site?
don't know where we stand with that. I know it was offered, and I know they had planned on it, but I haven't heard whether they still intend to use it anytime soon.
I don't know if they did.
Pardon me?
I don't know if they did, but it was a short-term thing anyway. I think it might be over with by now.
Yeah. So the one on North Warren they will be tearing down.
That's the one that the owners of the New York restaurant.
That's right. Yeah.
They've decided not to renovate that.
They've decided basically that they can't renovate it. It was their intent to renovate it. They had every intent to renovate it, but they've just decided. And Mike went through some of the structural issues with me, but I'm not going to try to repeat them to you. I don't remember, but basically, it looks like they gave it an honest effort to attempt to renovate it, and it's just not going to be feasible. It sounds like their intent, and I'll speak to them myself, but it sounds like their intent is to put something up that looks like what went down. That was all I've got from code enforcement. I had a quick conversation. He was supposed to be on the call today.
Well, while we're in this section, there were these two emails that we got today. One about the angry person about the breezeway being contaminated, and the other the complaint about the complainer putting up signs.
Yeah. Go on mute for me again, Josh, if you can. I hear myself talk a second after I say things. So Tal wrote a letter. This one will be from Tal that basically reiterates what's been done in that breezeway between those two properties, where they did, going back several months and even several years to some extent, but several months ago, they moved their gutters in conjunction with one of the complaints. They did realign their furnace exhaust to blow down the side of the house rather than directly out. And so what the building law states is it cannot blow directly onto the property. So the case was made that the furnace, because it was a pipe just sticking out of the house, like most of our furnace out pipes are, did blow directly. So that was moved to blow down the side of the house. The dryer vent that she complains about blows down the side of the house, so it does not blow directly across the property. So there will be a letter written today from the village attorney, or it's written today. We'll send it out tomorrow or later this week. That basically states that all remediation that was deemed required by code enforcement has been done, that any further issues or complaints must be viewed as a civil matter. In addition, it quotes, I don't remember the article of code, and I didn't write it down here. I apologize, I don't remember the code. It's like 222 Tech 3, which is the planning board code about placing signs. There are certain types of signs that are exempt, which include things like political signs. But due to the signs that she has and the size of those signs, she would require a permit from the planning board to put those signs up, so we're asking her to remove the signs immediately. So that letter will go out tomorrow. In addition, we've got a letter that'll go out from me to Dawn Palmetier. If you recall, she requested reduction in her sewer bill because she has a septic tank tied into the sewer. This one we kind of went back and forth quite a bit on, but the net of it is she has full access to the sewer. She could choose, the fact that there's a septic tank there is essentially a choice, but because she has the same access to the sewer system and same use of the sewer system as anyone else in the village, that the sewer pricing will not change in that case. So those two will go out tomorrow. Did that answer your question, Josh? And you
Yes.
are? Yeah, there we go. Thanks. Sorry to ask you to move, but as soon as you're off mute, I get it back.
I was trying to nod so that I wouldn't have to do
Oh,
my mic.
sorry. Good. Any other questions about code enforcement that I may be able to answer? All right, Seth or Joe?
Good evening, everybody. This is Seth.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Did you send a report out as well?
Yes, I sent it to Mary Jo, and then Mary Jo disseminated it out to all of you, I believe.
Yeah, I got mine the other day. Yeah.
Let me
I got
see.
it.
I got it also.
What date was it sent?
I think it was Monday. Monday. Yeah.
All right, let's just talk through it. My email is really screwing up on me here. I apologize.
It was Monday Monday.
Yeah, it came Monday the 6th at 3:01 p.m. I can forward it to you, Stefan, if you tell me which email address you'd like it sent
I
to.
can. Is it? What's it titled?
It's titled
Please?
it says forward, water/wastewater March 2020 board report, Monday the 6th at 3:01 p.m.
Sorry, the problem with my email isn't that I can't get into it. It's that there's an ad that's causing it to move back and forth like a moving target. There we go. I got it. I am not enjoying Yahoo.
Neither am I.
That's not it. All right, I clicked the wrong one. Seth, go ahead. I will try to water wastewater March 20 board.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, that's what I'm clicking on, but that's not what's coming up for me here.
I can forward it to you.
No, I can see it right there. I just can't click on it. Got it. Sorry, this cannot be more frustrating. Oh, Yahoo is really making me appreciate my printer. Come on, open. Seth, go ahead and just start walking us through it here. I may or may not get this open in the near term.
Okay. Starting with the water treatment facility, everything's pretty much normal up there. No alarm call outs for the month. And the only real addition is that the annual water quality report has been sent out to DOH. I'm just waiting for his approval, and then we can mail it out to the customer.
Okay.
All right. On the wastewater plant here in the village, we are in compliance for the month. We had an average daily flow of 390,000 gallons, so we're pretty close to permit. We did have a little over 5 inches of rain, and we exceeded permitted flow for 9 days during the month, but the average didn't put us over. The flow meter was calibrated, which we do on a yearly basis, so we've got a good baseline on that now. And the only other thing on the village plant or the sewer system in general is where we are with the additional $9,366.90 needed to replace the valves and the check valves in the pump station.
Yeah, MJ and I spoke about that a little bit. All right, what's our timeline look like for that? We need that. That may wait till June if that's okay, which I believe it is for that, right?
It can wait. Yeah, we can wait till June. I mean, as long as nothing goes wrong. Of course, we know that we don't know if and when anything will go wrong, but everything seems to be operating fine now. There is, in the sewer budget from last year, we had $30,000 for sludge removal. To date, we've only used about $80,000. So there is some extra money in that line item of the budget that will not be used in this budget year.
Could I also? Yes, Stefan, can you scroll down a little bit? You could, yeah, you see right here, under the pump station, we also got this, price of, like it's half the price, but I guess we would supply the labor. I know we had talked about that at the last meeting and I don't believe we made a determination one way or the other. That would be, I mean, though we'd be paying our own labor costs, that would be an enormous savings of close to $5,000.
Yeah.
Joe, have you worked anything out with Anthony on that?
As it stands, he still is comfortable, in supplying the labor to that valve replacement, or the valve replacements.
He is not comfortable?
Yes.
He is comfortable.
He is comfortable, okay.
All right. Let me.
And the sludge, we may actually do one more roll-up set before the budget ends. I think they run about $2,500 a roll-up. Is that right? Does that sound about right?
That is, yeah, it's between 25 and 3,000 depending on weight. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's kind of a change from what we just talked the other day.
But you said you've spent.
We're not gonna come anything close though to the.
Yeah, that's what it said. You've spent so far about 9 out of 30,000, and you may spend another 3. Is that right?
That's correct.
Probably, another 6 to 9 depending on how many dumpsters. It's about 3,000 a dumpster. It takes 3 dumpsters to do one digester.
No, we're only gonna do one roll between that and the budget season.
Oh, okay. All right. I misunderstood. Sorry.
Okay, I'll talk to MJ. We'll plan on using that, and I will talk to Anthony. I just want to understand what are the concerns. I understand he's comfortable doing it. I just want to make sure there's no, one, that we can do it properly, and 2, that we have the manpower, because obviously we're on reduced shifts. So I'll talk to him. Seth, if you haven't heard from me by sort of Monday of next week, give me a call and we'll resolve this.
Okay.
Okay?
Good. No problem there. Brick Row is plugging along. Average flow is about 9,000 gallons a day. That flow meter was also calibrated and didn't exceed permitted flow for any day during the month, so everything's good there.
So if I go back up, let's see here. So we were at 390,000 gallons. What was the? It seems like we had a lot of rain.
We did have a lot of rain, but it all came kind of spread out and slowly.
Okay.
We didn't have any real downpours. So because I went back through all the flow charts, and where there were, like I said, 9 days where we exceeded average daily flow. It didn't really come quickly, so plant was able to handle it better.
Okay. Good. Any other questions for Seth or Joe?
No.
No.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let me click this again here.
Good night, everybody. Stay well.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yes, have a good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night, gentlemen. Thank you.
Good night.
All right. Number 7 on the department heads. Let's go to the engineer. Jason, are you still with us?
Yep, I'm here. Can everybody hear me?
We can. Thank you for hanging in there.
Yes.
So, I guess just to update the board on the DPW garage project, I sent an update on Monday. We finally did. If you recall at the last board meeting, we were waiting for comments from the Native American nations with regard to archaeology at the site. We did get a positive response that the work we did in February basically means the village doesn't have to spend money on what they called ground penetrating radar to find human remains. And that the original plan to dig some deeper test pits where we're going to be putting the foundation and utilities in is a go. So, to be honest, if it wasn't for the COVID outbreak, we'd be digging the test pits yesterday. But since that happened, it's kind of slowed things up. With that said, I did speak with the archaeologist. We have to respond to them one more time. And I think what I'm going to propose is 2 dates in the month of May, one probably in the second week and one probably in the fourth or third or fourth week as potential site work days. For those test pits, someone from the Native American nation needs to be there at the site to observe the test pits in addition to the village's archaeologist. So that way, if for some reason the COVID outbreak does kind of break and we have the opportunity to get out and do the work, it's already kind of scheduled. So that's the plan as far as archaeology goes.
Where are we, Jason, on validity of the bids if the COVID thing extends here?
So the validity of the bids is fine. I mean, technically the bids would be, I think they had a 60-day period to them, so I think it's on Friday they technically expire. The village, if you recall, we kind of delayed until this meeting, the last meeting, just to see how the archaeology played out. There's really no reason the board couldn't award the bids this evening or tonight or tomorrow. So if you guys wanted to do so, you could. At that point, there's at least a month of what I'll call the contract execution process for everybody to get their bonds and insurances and so forth in place. So I don't see anything happening really before June anyway. So with the COVID-19 anyway. So technically, the DPW garage is not considered an essential construction project. So technically, they can't start construction anyway.
Okay. Do me a favor, because why don't we go ahead, if we're comfortable, we reviewed the bids a couple of meetings ago, or I think it was our last meeting before we had to start doing the teleconferencing here. Can you just review with us who the low bidders were? A little bit about why we're selecting them.
New York. Contract number 2 was the electrical contractor, Spring Electric, Avon Park. Contract number 3 was the Volio Brothers, out of, I think they were in Norwich, New York. And contract number 4, which was the HVAC, was out of Schenectady. And I'll be honest, the name escapes me at the moment. I think it's like Empire Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, the name of their company.
Stefan, can you hear me?
Yep.
It doesn't appear as if Mary Jo is still on, so I don't know if any minutes are being taken of this conversation. And if we're about to award a bid or discuss awarding a bid, it would probably be helpful to have minutes.
So long as we are still broadcasting, we are recording.
It's being recorded. The whole meeting.
Okay. So I would like to propose that we accept the bids as outlined by Jason for the DPW building to move forward.
I'll offer that.
I'll offer it.
I think Amy beat you. All right. I'll go say Amy offered, Josh seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So carries. So Jason and Rob, thank you guys very much. We set some very aggressive goals to be able to break ground in the spring, and we would have made it if it hadn't been for the COVID thing, and that's very impressive. And I really appreciate the amount of effort and time and the good work that's been put into getting this done. So, hopefully as soon as this COVID lifts, we'll be breaking ground on this thing, and we're still, I'm still optimistic that we get them in there in the fall. So thank you guys very much. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
So the only thing I need from the board, Stefan, is I did send over revised notice of awards for each contract. I sent that, I think it was last week sometime. I do need those signed by you. And what that does is once I give those to the contractors, they give them to their bonding company.
Notice of award signed by me by Friday.
This evening. What's that?
So you need those signed by me by Friday, right?
Yeah, I can resend them to you if you would like. Yeah.
All right. What else were you saying? I stepped on you there.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying, I can resend them to you if you would like. Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt, but I'm sure I can find them. But if you've got them handy, go ahead and resend them, and I'll sign them.
Okay.
All right. Let me very quickly here text MJ and see if we. MJ, are you on?
She's only 6 minutes.
Give me a second, guys. Sorry.
And Stefan, while you're doing that, I was going to suggest that we have an agenda item that's all the way at the bottom of the agenda, but it has to do with Jason, and maybe we could move it up to now so that we could discuss it with Jason, and then he doesn't have to hang around until the end of the meeting.
Okay, go ahead.
And that's the NYSERDA grant, the $30,000, and I don't know if I don't know. Well, and I guess the correspondence, Jason, that you and the mayor and I and Anthony have been having, it just occurs to me that the rest of the board, Stefan, hasn't seen. But basically, Jason has been kind enough to source a potential vendor to do the slip lining of the infrastructure, the pipes underground on 2nd Street, 800 feet of them. We have received a $30,000 grant from NYSERDA for being a clean energy community to do that. And the cost to do that would be anywhere from $32,000 to $36,000, which does not include the engineer's fee and does not include any other problems that there might be. That Jason was going to review the video to see if there were. So, Jason, I don't know if you've reviewed the video or want to build on what I've just said to give more information to the board.
No, absolutely. And yes, so when I read through the grant and everything, it seemed pretty standard to me what you guys wanted to do. The $30,000 to do 800 feet of pipe seemed, I think that was about $37.50 a linear foot. Seemed like a pretty tight number to me, based on recent I&I projects we had completed. So what I did was I reached out to one of the bidders who's historically a lower bidder that we get, and basically said, explained it to him what needed to be done and so forth. And he said, yeah, budget between $40 a linear foot and $45 would be more realistic. And that was the 32 and the 36,000 that trustee Lipson was referencing. So, with that said, I did review the video today. There's one thing I want to ask Anthony about. I didn't see any major issues with the lining work on 2nd Street. There is something I want to ask Anthony about on, North Franklin Street, because that was part of the project as well. If you aren't able to do that street based on my discussions with Anthony, there were other areas that were cambered on 2nd Street that are in good shape as well as being like good candidates for lining. So you have a lot of options. And I'll be honest, the camera work that I believe the village of Catskill assisted the village with was actually very good. So it was very, very good to review, and they had good equipment. So it made my job very easy. So I will get with Anthony tomorrow on that. Just to go over a couple things with him. With regard to this.
I have just some thoughts for the board. Two things. I don't know if we can connect them. But one is we heard Joe and Seth say, and I'm not as intimately familiar with the budget as others might be, that there's a fund for some kind of sewage works in the budget, a line item that we've only of 30,000, of which we've only used 9, and they may use another 3. If we need an additional 8 or 10,000 to add to the 30,000 for this underground slip lining. Can we move the money out of that account, since it is kind of related to underwater, underground liquid waste movement or water movement? And if so, then maybe we want to see about getting a request for proposals put together and issued before the end of the fiscal year, so that we have that money accounted for. But again, I don't know whether we can set aside monies from this fiscal year if we, unlike, award a contract, but don't actually spend it in the next year. I don't know what our rules are about that. So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm just to like what specific action I'm asking for is, it sounds like really Jason just needs one more conversation with Anthony tomorrow to ask a question about something that you saw in the video. And then after that, we could come up with a draft request for proposals. Hopefully this one vendor that you spoke to, Jason, will be one of the responders, but perhaps there will be others as well. And we could even, I don't know, conceivably, can we approve that now, or do we need to wait and see that to approve it at our next meeting? That's kind of where I'm going with this, trying to get moving on it, if it's appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, if the board wanted to put it out to bid, request proposals before the end of the fiscal year, you could probably do that. So I don't see that being an issue. So, I'm like, as far as putting a little bid document or RFP together.
And I do note that you had offered to send around what the engineering cost would be, though we haven't gotten that yet. Do you have a sense of what the ballpark of that figure is?
Yeah, it wouldn't be. It's not like a big number. It would probably be like $2,000 to $3,000 just to put together the package and some minor on-site work.
So if we're talking 32 to 36 as the range for the work itself, plus another 2 to 3 for the engineering fee, and then I don't know, another contingency for unforeseen things, we're still just talking about like 35 to 40,000. So throwing in 5 or 10. Stefan, do you know, can we use some of that sewer money that's not going to be spent this year toward that?
I would suspect that we can, but I'll need to talk to Tal about it. I don't think it'll be a problem.
So is the board comfortable asking Jason to go ahead? Is Jason the appropriate person to go ahead or was it with MJ to work with Anthony to put together an RFP?
I'll plan to send a proposal to the board either by Friday or Monday.
Yeah, we don't need a proposal to do that, yeah. Okay.
Do that for my services, yeah.
That's just for your services. I'm talking about putting together an actual request for proposal or a request for bid, I don't know what we call it, that would be issued publicly to get vendors like, who did you talk to? Green Mountain Pipeline Services, them and others to actually submit bids.
Yeah, that would be it over my credentialing. Would be to put that package together.
Sorry, say that again, Jason. I couldn't hear you.
Essentially the scope of my services would be to put that package together. I'll call it just a bid package, just like we did for the DPW garage. That would basically be what my services would constitute. So.
Okay, and we may have funds left in just the engineering line to cover Jason's services. I believe we do. Okay, good. Thank you, Jason.
Okay, very good. If anybody has any questions, by all means, as always, please call or drop me an email. So we'll be in touch.
All right, thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Night.
All right. Next is a permit to peddle for Good Day Honey. I'm not sure what exactly. I'm not sure how they intend to peddle here.
What are they peddling?
I assume honey.
It's honey?
Yeah, I wasn't having honey.
No.
It's clear from the permit how they intended to sell, right?
Oh, hold on, Josh. Can you mute? I can't hear a thing when you're not muted for some reason. Thank you. Go ahead, Amy.
I didn't see anywhere in their application how they intended to peddle.
No, me either. Okay, so I'm inclined to take a pass on this one this week until we can get some more information.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Okay. All right, so we'll come back to that one. All right, everyone read the minutes from both the 11th and the 25th. Do we have any corrections or concerns over the minutes?
No. No.
No.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I will.
Amy,
Buzzer.
second?
Who was the first?
Amy was the first.
Oh, okay.
Gail, did you second?
Yeah.
Gail, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right. So carries. Did we review the abstracts? And I apologize, I didn't get in to look at them.
Yes,
I didn't get in.
I looked at them also, yes.
Amy and Josh have looked at them. Okay, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the abstracts?
I'll move that since I did look at them.
Second?
I'll second it.
Amy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
So carries. Thank you. Okay. Correspondence. I'll take this one up with. So the first correspondence is about these illegal housing that are appearing to pop up in the county. Illegal shelters. I don't know if people are putting shelters up for people to rent or what that is, but I'll get that to Mike, but also I think to Anthony, who's around the village more than others. I haven't seen anything, but we'll make sure we're on the lookout for these things. Next.
Stefan, you might also want to share with the police.
Okay, fair enough. Good call. Next is Flint Mine Solar application, which we were aware of. We are already approved for intervenor funds for that. I think we've talked about that. Sorry, no, Flint Mine we're not. So Flint Mine is a new one that the application just came up. It's not one of the ones that we applied for intervenor funding on. We applied for intervenor funding on Hecate and on what was the second one? I apologize. I don't remember, but there are the two that we applied for intervenor fundings on because the runoff goes into Sleepy Hollow Lake. I don't believe Flint Mine is one of them, but I'll verify that. But all that correspondence does is notify us of the application and the availability of intervenor funds, which we have already received intervenor funds for the two that are pertinent to us, being approved for them anyway. Sorry, my mind is going tonight.
So, Stefan, what about this one? Are we going to cooperate again with Village of Cooksaki to get intervenor funds for this?
Only for the two that impact runoff into Sleepy Hollow.
Do we know that this doesn't?
I apologize. I don't remember what the second one was. Hecate, and I'd have to go into my emails. If it's one of the two that impacts them, then we have made ourselves a interested party and applied for and received intervenor funds as part of the group. There are 5 total in Cooksaki, and I apologize. I'm losing track of which is which.
But do we know that this one isn't one that we are interested in?
I don't. All I'm saying is there are 2 that we're interested in. For the 2 that we're interested in, we're covered.
Right. The reason why I'm asking is that this, as you may see, it talks about intervenor funding, and it says that upon filing the application, which I guess that's what they've done here, the applicant will provide funding in the amount of $100,000 to be dispersed by the siting board to municipalities and other local parties to help pay expenses. So if this is the filing of the application, which it appears to be, then this is a new project that now is making intervenor funding available. And I can't tell just by looking at this map whether it impacts us or not. It is physically sited in the towns of Cooksaki and Athens. I'm just thinking that, we do have a strong environmental issues constituency in our community, as we saw by the massive mobilization around the DNC plant. So I think it would behoove us, if there is someone that we can talk to help figure out whether we want to be an intervener on this, that we should do that.
Bear with me here.
To discuss right now, can we just assign someone to look into it?
I guess my point is we're covered. There are 2 that are pertinent to us because they drain into Sleepy Hollow Lake. I'm trying to find out if Flint Mine is one of those 2. For those 2 that we did apply for intervenor funding for because they impact Sleepy Hollow Lake, we have been approved for intervenor funds.
Right, Stefan, but what I'm not understanding, I'm not hearing you answer my question directly, which is, this appears to be a new project that is newly filed. So it wouldn't have been one for which intervenor funds were available in the past. So it's not clear to me from your comment that it's already been looked into as to whether this one will impact us or not. I hear you saying that we are interveners in 2 projects where that will impact us, but I'm not hearing you say this one will or won't.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to Mark Evans and get myself straight on the solar again here and see where this one is. But we're not getting involved in anything that's an aesthetic concern in the town of Athens or the village or town of Cooksaki.
I agree.
So I'll find out where this one is and whether we're already tied in or not. I'll send an email.
And if we're not tied in, whether we should be. Again, not for aesthetic reasons, but for environmental reasons.
Understood. Okay. The third is, I think this is one we've seen before. It's this underground power lines. I meant to ask Tal about this one when we got to it. I believe we've looked at the map on this one probably 6 months ago, but I'll have to confirm with this one that it's the one that we saw that doesn't come near the village of Athens, but we're on the mailing list for it. But I meant to ask Tal about that and forgot.
I think that's the one that primarily uses the railroad right away.
Yeah, I think so. I meant to check into that again, and I didn't. I think you're right. I don't think it comes anywhere near us, but I can't say that for a fact.
We've gotten on this one before.
Yeah, I know.
And, yeah.
I just want to verify it. I want to make sure it's the same one. Obviously, my mind is slipping here today. Oh shit. Okay, so the budget we talked about a little bit. I have started to go through it. I have it in Excel, and I'll start modifying in Excel, and I will go through the budget in an Excel spreadsheet with some of the changes that I start making in the next meeting.
Stefan, in prior years, you put your Excel spreadsheet, last year, you put your Excel spreadsheet in a Google Drive so that we all could look at it and follow along with it as you modify and edit it. I would find that very helpful if you feel comfortable doing that.
Okay.
I'll
do that.
And you even, I think, had space for people to comment on stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The bid for lawn mowing opens at the next meeting. So we need to get moving on that. Old business, comprehensive plan. You're muted.
So the comprehensive plan steering committee met. We're working on the survey. It was a very productive meeting. I think the only issue that might be of interest to the board right now is the financial one related to the grant and expenditures. I'm sorry, Mary Jo isn't on the phone anymore, but you may recall that the grant we were proposing to match the $9,900 with a combination of town money, village money, and in-kind volunteer time.
Mm-hmm.
So we have one of the bills that we got that we just approved in the what are they called? What was the name of that thing that we just approved? These electronic versions of the bills. One of the bills that we just approved was for, I think, about $2,500 for man for the consultant. And so we haven't actually attempted to get any funds from Hudson River Valley Greenway yet. I don't know how our cash flow is, whether we want to do that now or just wait until the very end and submit once. But one thing that did come up is that we have already met the volunteer hours, exceeded the volunteer hours that we said we would submit. So I actually emailed the funder and I said, is it possible for us to match more of the money that you give us with volunteer hours than we had said? And his answer was, you were welcome to submit a revised budget to include that. So I'm kind of in the process of, as I'm presenting to you, talking to the point of answering my own question, which is that if we don't really need the money, it might be smart to just wait until the very end and see how many volunteer hours we have. And then at that time, perhaps submit a revised budget because it might be possible at that point to get half or more of it matched with volunteer time rather than cold hard cash. So I guess I'm not really proposing that we do anything at this point. This was more just to keep the board informed on what's going on financially with the comprehensive plan update.
Okay, so the max outlay is 10 grand.
Yes, 9,900.
Okay. Okay. I don't know that I want to get all, we're going to be into the next budget cycle here by the time we spend much more money anyway, so we should be fine. Okay. Any other questions? So where are we on, are we doing any virtual meetings, or are we on hold, or where are we with comprehensive planning?
So, the only virtual meetings that are being held are of the steering committee.
Okay.
And it's meeting monthly. We just met like a week ago.
Can we use Survey Monkey or something like that to get out to people who want to be involved?
Well, we don't have a survey yet. So what the steering committee is doing is it's putting together Nan gave us a draft survey at the last meeting, a very rough draft that had no input yet, but just as a start to get the conversation going. And people gave a lot of feedback to her about that, good, positive, constructive feedback. So she just today sent out an updated version of the survey incorporating people's comments in it, and has asked them to get their comments back to her by, I think, the 15th of April, another week from tonight, so she can edit it again. And then I guess at our next meeting at the end of April, we'll look at that final, or that double or triple edited version to see if people are comfortable with it. If they are, then we'll come up with the plan of how to get it out. But as you know, the comprehensive plan includes public input in two ways. One is through these public forums, which obviously are postponed indefinitely until we're allowed to congregate again. I think trying to do it like this way or with a Zoom meeting would just be a nightmare, an unrealistic nightmare. I think we just have to wait on that one. But in terms of the surveys, the way that was going to be collected was a card is supposed to go out, like a postcard, to every address in the village and the town, and telling them about this survey and giving them options on how to fill it out. So one would be to go online and fill it out through like a Survey Monkey kind of thing. But obviously not everybody has internet. That's why we're sending the postcard to let them know. But they could also get a hard copy. So we would need to figure out a way to maybe put hard copies. Just is the village building unlocked during the day at least? Or public can
they're open half the day.
Yeah. So we could put a box of those surveys like on a bench outside the village office, and people could go by and pick it up and fill it out, and then either mail it back in or drop it off. Wouldn't have to involve going into the village office at all. So that's the status of this. But the plan is at the next steering committee meeting, if the survey is approved, we would get into the granular details of how to distribute it and how to collect that information. During the time of COVID, who knows? Perhaps by then we will, be getting close to the end. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but so it might be possible to put everything off for just say 4 to 6 weeks, and then plan to just distribute it normally, and or do the in-person public forums first again, or wait and just do them after the survey is done.
Where's our decision point that says if it goes beyond a certain date that we start doing via Zoom meetings or something, or do you think that's completely unfeasible?
I'm sorry, Stefan, what?
Is there a decision point that we say if it looks like the COVID lockdown is going to go beyond, June 1st, that we have a plan to start doing Zoom meetings?
I don't think we would ever do. I mean, you're talking about like if the COVID thing goes for months. You're talking about.
Yep. If we're on pause into June, do we need another plan?
I don't think the thinking has gone that far. I don't think I mean, we have until November of 2021 to finish this grant. When I spoke to them about modifying the budget to include more volunteer time, I also asked them, not that we anticipate needing this, but if we end up having to pause for 2 or 3 months because of COVID, could we extend our due date by 2 or 3 months? And he said he couldn't imagine that their board wouldn't approve that if it got to that. So I think trying to have an in-person, a virtual public meeting with dozens and dozens of people, and I mean, you see all the technical difficulties we had with just our own small group, giving everybody a chance to talk, people talking in turn and not over each other and trying to get themselves heard. I just think that would be just, I think it would have to be a pretty bad COVID day to plan to do that.
All right, let's do CCA.
Sorry?
CCA?
The community choice aggregation, and again, I'm sorry that Mary Jo isn't on the line because you recall that the status of CCA was that the request, that Good Energy had sent the request to the Public Service Commission. And we were waiting to hear back from them as to whether it was approved. So on a week ago, on the 1st of April, one of the Good Energy people sent me an email saying that they've heard back from the Public Service Commission and that they needed a proof of the February 26th meeting on community choice aggregation. That was the one in the gym where Ed presented. And so he asked whether the clerk had the printed notice of that and the electronic receipt from the local newspaper. So I copied Mary Jo on that and said, that asked her for that information. And I haven't heard back from her or Good Energy. So I'm guessing that maybe, I don't know. I just don't know whether that was forwarded to them or not.
So what are the 2 items you need?
So that's the update on community choice aggregation,
So,
which is that it's kind of caught in a tiny little moment of administrative limbo.
So what are the 2 items that you need again?
The 2 items needed are they're looking, the PSC, I can just forward you this correspondence,
Okay.
Steph, if you like.
All right.
Which email would you like me to forward it to?
I just need to know what it is we need from MJ.
Okay, but I'm going to forward the email that has that in it to
Okay.
you. Which email address would you like me to, or would you rather, I'm happy to just read it out to you now if that's easier.
Go ahead. Yeah, read me the 2 items.
Okay, so they're looking for proof of the February 26th community meeting. So what he suggested as options for that would be a printed notice of the meeting and an electronic receipt from the local newspaper.
That's the second.
The meeting was on the 26th,
Right.
February 26th.
Okay, got it. Okay. Good. Questions on that? NYSERDA grant? I think we covered, right?
Yeah.
All right. That's the agenda. Any other topics? Josh, what else do you have?
Well, I just wanted to give an update on Climate Smart Community. I have been ongoing meeting with Cornell Cooperative Extension, and as you recall, we're going to be applying to be a registered Climate Smart Community. There aren't that many around the state, and in order to register even at the lower level, you need 120 points. So Cornell Cooperative Extension and I are going through the checklist of points, and we got partway through, about halfway through at our last meeting, and we're going to get the rest of the way through at our next meeting. But just based on the rough point total that one of the staffers put together, we have anywhere from 90 to 130 points already.
Okay.
So it's possible that with just maybe passing a few little resolutions like we did with climate or clean energy communities, maybe doing one or two little things, it's possible we may have what's needed to be a climate smart community.
Okay.
But that's just preliminary, and I'll give more information on that after my next meeting with them, which is next week, I think. I had a couple of other things, but I don't know if you want me to continue with that for now.
I don't know what they are.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, should I continue with my items?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One is the BOA, and I don't know if you were planning to talk about that, or I had an idea. I didn't know, or I don't know if you've heard back from anybody yet on that.
No, I have not.
Okay, so you remember that there was this consultant named, I think, Lisa Nagel from
Yep.
Milan. Do you remember
Yeah,
her?
sure. Yeah.
Pardon me?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you picked up in that conversation, but she seemed to indicate, and Delaware did not dispute, that we could contract with her directly to do the update,
Okay.
rather than going through Delaware. Though Delaware offered to do it in subcontract with Lisa, Lisa seemed to indicate that she could do it directly. And so I'm wondering if you want to reach out to her to see about getting a contract with her to do that for us.
Yeah, I suspect that saves us some money. She did the bulk of the work last time. It was, so we just need to make sure, because it was, when it came to actually getting the grant written and submitted, it was Teresa with Delaware who was doing the work. So just, do you mind reaching out to Lisa and just making sure that she's got all the resources we need to get it written and submitted, because it was a joint effort last time.
I will contact Lisa.
I'm happy going direct to Lisa. I just want to make sure she has the resources to do it, because I did work quite a bit with Teresa from Delaware last time.
Okay, well, I will reach out to Lisa and see what she has to say about that.
Okay.
My last item, or second to last, are you going to talk about addiction in your comments?
I'm not. I need to talk to you offline about it, and we need to get it restarted. So there just hasn't been much happening with it lately. But it's the problem is getting worse, and we need to start getting more involved and figure out how we do it, given the new order of things.
Yes. So you are aware that things are getting
Yes.
worse.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. The last thing, and again, I just try to keep it on the burner here. Again, I was just bowled over by the community response to the C&D plant. And there is, I think there is interest in environmental issues. I have gotten separately correspondence about the Iroquois compression station expansion plan. I've gotten correspondence about air pollution from the Athens Gen plant. I think a lot of that activity is by necessity either on hold or slowed, but I just am thinking that we are going to need, for a climate smart community, we're going to need we passed this resolution last time, a kind of a climate smart